Many thanks for joining us here on News Today. My name is Kwabena Chenche Hineboating. Let's start off with that very story where at least 54 people, we are told, are reportedly injured following an accident on the Accra-Kumasi Highway Tuesday dawn. 7 vehicles, including 4 trailers, are said to have been destroyed in the accident, which occurred between Apedja and Bunso. Let's get more now from Mr. Regional Correspondent Richard Kojo, I beg your pardon, Edwin Kofi, who is joining us on phone now with some more. Edwin, Kofi, can you tell us more about this accident, what it is you know about it?
Well, you know it's been raining here in some parts of the eastern region since last night, and the road has been very slippery. So, you know, vehicles commuting the Accra-Kumasi Highway need to be careful with the way they drive on the highway. Because this dawn, about 7 vehicles, including a VVIP bus, a VIP bus, and the Metro Mass Transit bus, and 4 other trailers have been involved in an accident. They all veered off the road. As a result, it happened as a result of the slippery road. It's been raining all day, and the accident happened at different times. But the first one happened early this dawn around 1 a.m. So that is the situation now. So people traveling from Accra to Kumasi, Kumasi to Accra ought to be very careful with the way they drive on that stretch.
Right. Many thanks for that update. But we can now speak to the Eastern Regional Police PRO, ASP Nketia Yeboah, who is also joining us on phone now with some more on this incident. ASP, good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us here on News Today, sir. Can you tell us what more you've uncovered so far as investigations into this very accident is concerned?
Yeah, good afternoon, and I'm very happy with your regional correspondence report, in the sense that I'm also adding my voice that we are pleading with transport owners and travelers on the Kumasi-Accra Highway, the Eastern Corridor portion, the Eastern Regional portion. It's been raining the whole day, but they drive like nothing has happened. And many of them are involved in accidents, so they should speak to the drivers before they set off from Accra and Kumasi to their destinations. Okay. Yes, so far, and let me also add that the number is not as high as 54, and also by the grace of God, nobody had any major injury. Because of that, even the operational team led by the Kibi Police Divisional Commander, Chief Lieutenant Sefas Bediaku, allowed them to continue with their journey to Kumasi, or the Northern Sector. In fact, all the 3 major buses, that is DRP, the WU bus number GS820412, and Metro Mass Transport GDAF AS81540Z, and Tinon bus, which also belongs to VVIP, GR808713. And another one, which is a Kia Grand Bed, which is a VIP bus, GS332510. Have all the passengers on these buses have been given alternate vehicles to continue with their journey to Kumasi. In fact, the Metro Mass that bus was coming from Swedro in the central region to Kumasi. They've all been allowed to go because those who had injuries, they were minor. Nobody was admitted in any of our hospitals here. We are, however, repeating that drivers, and if the drivers are not careful, the passengers should speak to them. And if they are not listening, when they reach police barriers, checkpoints, they should alert the police. Okay. Instead of overspeeding like it's a normal day. Okay. So far, the vehicles are at the accidents in the 4 buses. Right. But the efforts are being made to kill them, to bring them to the police station.
Okay.
By the grace of God,
right.
None. Let me add that all the buses, none broke the road. So
okay.
the highway, the Kumasi highway, is free.
Okay, SP, I just want to know the exact numbers we speak of. You're saying the numbers are not as high as 54, but do you know the exact number of persons who were involved in this accident?
Oh yes, in fact, very many. According to my officers at the scene, they gave me 4 from the VIP bus. That is the Kia Grand Bird. Only 4, and Akim Swedru Kumasi bound Metro Mass Transport DAF 2. Only 2, but accident. As the hours go by,
okay,
you will feel something. So I'm even adding that relatives and should impress upon the passengers to go for checkup.
Okay.
Despite that, there's no any visible mark of injury.
Right.
They should go to the hospital to be checked.
Indeed. Yes, many thanks for your time on news today this afternoon. And that was the Eastern Regional Police PRO, ASP in Ketia Yeboah, bringing us an update on that situation, that accident. You are told that involves about 7 vehicles, 4 of them being trailers on the Accra-Kumasi highway. Well, the good news is none of the persons involved in the accident passed on, but then they've been moved to other places. They've been asked to go to hospital for checkup. We'll be bringing more on this a bit later on. But away from this now, and after 8 years of implementation, the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty, that's the LEAP program, now reaches nearly 100,000 people. But as Joy News' Justice Bedu reports in this story from the northern regional town of Gukpanarigu, more needs to be done to ensure many other vulnerable people get the support. Now, this is part of a series highlighting poverty and inequalities in Ghana.
Let me introduce you to 2 women, Memunatu and Zainabu. They are both widows in their mid-50s and live in a small village called Gukpanarigu, just outside the northern regional capital, Tamale. But what separates them? Memunatu was enrolled onto the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program last month after she had lost her husband. She receives 106 cedis every 2 months. She is one of 31 people like her enrolled on the program in Gukpanarigu alone.
When we were not in the LEAP, things were very difficult. Feeding was a problem for us. But now that we are receiving something, life is changing.
With money from her LEAP cash transfers, Memunatu is able to buy shea nuts and prepares butter for sale. She is now also able to put her children through school. Enter Zainabu. Her 17-year-old daughter Asana has just been sent home as she's unable to pay for her fees. Now she is down with an unknown sickness and has no money to seek medical care for her. Asana is Zainabu's only child who is still in school. Her other children dropped out when her husband died. Now, as is the case with some women who lose their husbands in parts of Ghana, her husband's family are threatening to throw her out of the family house.
Formerly I was farming, but I do not have the strength and I have to use fertilizer. Fertilizer is also expensive, so I can't get it. And we are just struggling. Educating the children is a problem. I have one girl whose school fees I can't pay. I have seen the other women who are benefiting and I see changes in their lives. I want to change my life too. My elder daughter is back home sick. I can't take her to the hospital and I can't get her to go back.
Zainabu is also one of several people with a similar story in Gukpanarigu. She isn't on the LEAP program yet and has no financial support. Despite its successes since its introduction, questions have been raised over how this project would be sustained, especially in the event that donors begin to cut back their funding. The biggest problem, though, remains how government will now be able to scale up this project to cover as many people as possible. As it stands now, only 1 in every 10 poorest of the poor in Ghana who should be on this program are actually enrolled. Introduced 8 years ago, the LEAP is a social intervention program aimed at cushioning the country's poor and vulnerable. With 1.3 million people now trapped in dire poverty in the northern region alone, this region now makes up for the largest number of poor people living in any of Ghana's 10 regions. Despite its success, the worsening living conditions of Ghana's poor people may end up derailing the country's fight against poverty. Justice Bedu, Gukpanarigu, Northern Region.
Now, the Association of Ghanaian Lawyers in America is partnering the Fordham Law School to premiere this documentary as part of efforts to raise support for prisons across the country. Left to Rot is a sequel to Seth Kwamboateng's Locked and Forgotten documentary, which highlighted especially the plight of demand prisoners in the country and also moved the judiciary to initiate steps to address the congestion situation in the prisons. Ani Osawute is in New York and offers us now an insight into what is to be expected later in the day. Ani, good afternoon. Well, it's afternoon here. I don't know whether it's morning there. I need to ask, what time exactly is this very documentary premiering, and what has been the response so far?
Good morning. It's 8:15 here. Well, it starts at 5 p.m. That's Eastern. That is at 9 p.m. in Ghana. So we can New York is the eastern part of the state. The East Coast is 4 hours behind Ghana. So starts at 5 p.m. point, and so far, I mean, the response, has been tremendous. I mean, since I came in last week, for example, it's a lot of candidates trying to give them insight what the issues are and increasing everything like so.
Okay, Annie, I'm finding it a bit difficult hearing what you're saying. I don't know, maybe you could just adjust your microphone a bit. But do we, for instance, know the category of people likely to see this documentary?
Of course, I mean, we have a cross-section of people from, especially from the Ghana Mission in New York coming. We also know that a group of Ghanaian lawyers will also be coming as well. They are those from academia, and that also that's of the Ghanaian community too. And for private persons who live in New York who are very much interested in the issues that Seth has highlighted in the documentary. So all of them will be there today. Yeah.
Any benefits prisoners stand to reap from this?
Well, the key thing for Seth is to see that the conditions in the prisons are improved. So he's been speaking to the people about how they can raise support, and right after the documentary, we get opportunity to take the stage again to appeal to them to give them some money, essentially to carry out some basic things. For example, like he wants boreholes to be sunk in some of the prisons as well, because water is what they really need, and also drugs. But according to him, throughout the process of gathering materials for this particular documentary, you realize that drugs are essentially some of the things that this business needs. So, if you could get these people to sort of give some money out to support them, that'd be cool. And the good thing is that the feedback has been tremendous. So, we're hoping that a lot more people will come on board after the documentary today, because I can tell you also, an authority that has got a lot of calls from Ghanaians in DC, in Virginia area, also, for example, for him to come over and show the documentary. So I think that he's on the road and he's written great rewards for this particular piece of work.
Okay, and many thanks for that update. We'll be touching base with you a bit later on for some more on how this pans out. And that was Annie Osabute, who is currently in New York, and it has to do with the screening of Joy News's Left to Rot documentary at the Fordham University. Well, he says all is set for that very premiere. We'll bring you more on how things develop later in the day. You're watching News Today here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you some more stories. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us here on News Today. Some more stories now. And the former Malawian president has charged African leaders to emulate the hard work and humility which characterized the administration of the late Ghanaian President John Evans Atta Mills. Her Excellency Joyce Banda entreated all African leaders to return monies they have stolen from their people so that the continent will develop. She was delivering a lecture at the 4th memorial anniversary in honor of former President John Evans Atta Mills at the University of Cape Coast. Richard Kojunyakon has more.
In the packed auditorium of the University of Cape Coast, the former Malawi president, Joyce Banda, delivered the fourth in the series of the Atta Mills Memorial Lecture. Speaking on the theme, Redefining Moral and Ethical Leadership, a Must in Africa, a Case of Atta Mills, Dr. Banda was tough on African leaders who adore corruption and steal public funds meant for the governed. The former Malawi president wants foreign partners that support Africa in monetary aid to assist in the retrieval of such monies.
While I commend the Western governments for the support they provide to fight against corruption, I believe they need to do more than just giving resources and technical support. Africa needs their moral support on this crusade. They allow the people who steal our money from Africa to bank in their banks. They allow leaders who steal from our continent to buy big mansions in their countries. I ask that they be on the lookout, because sometimes it looks hypocritical that the criticism comes from there, but money for our medicine, education, eradication of poverty, construction of schools, etc. is hidden there as well. And I've challenged everybody to say, when you see us, we have left State House and we are busy banking in our banks and buying mansions, ask us. It may be money that we earned, we run business, but it may also be stolen money, and start with me.
She bemoaned how African leaders have become not only corrupt, but the enablers of corruption, and counseled African leaders not to fault the press for exposing corrupt acts because they speak the mind of the defenseless and the vulnerable in the society, whose terms got the leaders to their current positions.
His humility and how he allowed press freedom in this country. The media in Ghana is indeed very free. And any leader with a weak mind cannot withstand. I know so many countries on the continent of Africa where our sons and daughters who are in the media are being abused every single day for expressing their true mind. Our people are not asking for too much. They are asking for what rightly belongs to them. They are asking for a just and fair society. They are asking for a society that is based on sovereignty of the people and a government based on the consent of the governed. Majority rule and minority rule, good governance, civil liberties, accountability and inclusivity.
issue threw a spotlight on how she was able to fight corruption when she was the president of Malawi and asked African leaders to emulate President Norris because he impacted greatly on her.
We arrested 72 suspects, most of them civil servants, including 2 cabinet ministers. Most of them are now answering charges in court, with some serving various jail terms. We had frozen 30 bank accounts. I also dissolved my cabinet and sacked 2 cabinet ministers that were implicated in the scam. I was warned by my colleagues across the continent that culprits will fight me back, will bring me down, will smear all that onto me. And I might not win the next election. For me, the choice was simple. I was going to put Malawians first. And if by putting Malawians first and arresting people, it meant getting out of State House and losing the next election, that too was a very simple and little price for me to pay. After all, as you can see, there's life beyond State House. I am here in Ghana. I am not in State House, but I'm fine.
To some other stories now, and the Tema Regional Police Command has begun investigations into the murder of 3 persons in alleged suicide involving the police lance corporal with the Rapid Development Force in Tema on Monday evening. The officer is said to have killed his mother-in-law, 2 children, and subsequently himself. Beatrice Edu has been speaking to the mother of the 2 children and widow of the deceased and joins me now on phone with some more. Beatrice, can you tell us what you've gathered so far?
Indeed, it's a very sad situation today for the family of this 29-year-old Rafa Idrisu. I met her this morning at the Chaco police station at Tema Community 25. They also call the place New Dorinya, and she looks very traumatized in her, green top and black trousers with no earrings on. That could tell you the state of mind she was in. And she started telling me that her husband had threatened to kill her last year, that was in December, because he claimed that she was bewitching him, and it was the reason he was not doing well. And so one of those days in that month, he came there with a screwdriver and a knife, forcing her to confess that indeed she was a witch, and that she was the reason he was not doing well. And because she was afraid for her life, she had to do so. And subsequently, she reported to the police station, the Justice unit, where she was asked to leave the house. So she did, with her mother and their 1 year, 7 months old, and I'm sorry, the youngest, almost 3 months old children to another house. But the husband kept pursuing her. So she had to move from one place to the other until she got that place where, unfortunately, yesterday, the man went there with a gun and killed her mother and their 2 children. I've also been speaking to a neighbor in that area, and he told me that the incident happened before 5 p.m. because he heard about 4 gunshots after 4 p.m. when he got home from work, but he didn't think someone was being killed. Until 6 a.m. today, he realized that this was somebody that he had actually been talking with over the last 1 month. And it's very difficult for the people there to accept the situation.
I can imagine. But what has the police been saying as far as this issue is concerned?
The police are not saying much as of now, but we've been promised that we'll get some more details later this evening. But what is happening right now at this crime scene is that they have cordoned up the place. I was told by some of the CID officers who were there that there are still pools of blood in there, which means that they still have their evidence that they don't want anyone to tamper with, and so it's the reason they cordoned up the place, but investigations are still ongoing.
Many thanks for that update, Beatrice Edu, and Beatrice Edu joined us on phone with some more on that very unfortunate incident at Tema, where a police officer is said to have shot and killed his 2 children as well as his mother-in-law. He subsequently is said to have killed himself. There's more on that in later bulletins as the day progresses. But away from that now, President John Dramani Mahama has joined the chiefs and people of the Sariam Zongo community in Kumasi to celebrate a grand Durbar to commemorate the final feast of the Eid celebration. The Durbar is part of the Gagajia festival celebrated every year by the Sawan people in the Ashanti region. Kwesi Debra has more.
Showcases the rich culture and traditions of the various ethnic groups of the community in the Ashanti region. The president also said funds for the construction of the Abuabo storm drain are ready and work will soon start on the project.
A new permanent Hajj village at the Kotoka International Airport. The land has been allocated. And currently the designs are being done so that when we move the Hajj village from the current site, it will go to its permanent site, and the conditions in that village will be far better than in the current Hajj village.
Sarakin Zongo, Sultan Umar Farouk entreated the youth to resist attempts by selfish politicians to use them to perpetrate violence in the upcoming elections.
The youth as the majority of the voting population have not the grace and the power they have at their disposal to ensure a total peaceful election we all desire. As the strength of the nation lies in the hands of the youth, they have a duty to make it a success or bundle it with their immorality sentiment. The youth must be ready to accept to be responsible in the coming months. Mr. President, as the 2016 election is drawing closer, the youth must ensure that they do not engage in the use of vulgar language and should not eliminate conflict, but rather the agent of peace even before, during, and after the election.
Ajumtohene Nana Osebunsu, who represented the Asantehene, emphasized Sarakin Zongo's admonition by cautioning against indiscipline and recklessness.
This is still news today on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. Also available on your DSTV channel 421. Time now for some updates in business. Stay with us.